Okay, so here's the Leader 120 with the camera. Okay, so as you can see, it is quite stacked up in there, and so I followed Albert Kim's video about when he took the lizard innards and put them in this frame, and that helped a lot. And so we've got the normal stack right here, and then this is the, see if you can see that this is the DVR box, and then I got the VTX and then the receiver mounted, and I just have that zip tied to the top right here. So one on each side, also to provide a little bit of protection in case when it lands on top if I ever crash. And so as you can see, there are gaps in between the camera casing as well as the frame. And so what I had to do is I just went and got some nuts. Let's see if you can see that. It's a little hard to see, but just got a small little nuts that were actually too big for these screws, and I just used them as spacers. And so I got screws that were long enough and just screwed it in, and that's all it is. It's just kind of floating there between these two spacers. But I'm able to get more angle if I needed to. There's enough space back here to adjust that as needed. Something to look out for when using this camera. So when you plug it in, it will automatically start recording, but it won't save it. So in order to save it at the end of your flight, before you take off the battery, you have a little button. My button is right here. When you see the actual DVR, you'll see the button. You have to make sure that you press that button. After you press that, then it saves it. And I should have mentioned this, but right there is where the SD card, the micro SD card goes, and so it will save it onto the micro SD card. Okay, sorry I didn't have my scale on me, but so I'm going to measure it with a, not that battery, with a 3S GMB 450 milliamp hour battery, just to kind of give you some proper weight ideas. So I'm just going to throw that on there, and then as well as the drone itself. And so altogether, you're looking at 129 grams. So under 130 with this camera. And this camera puts out 720p at 60 frames per second, which the video quality, and now it's not run cam quality, but it looks good. It looks way better than this thing, which was a hassle to go and mount that on there, and then you never know if it's recording or not. The frames were skipping. It was just kind of a mess. It had fallen off a few times, especially when you crash, and it comes apart sometimes, and I just got sick of it. This is so easy to use. Like I said, once you plug it in, it'll start recording. After your flight, before you unplug it, you just need to you just need to push this little button right there, and it saves your video. You're all good to go. Now let's get to some flight footage to talk about exactly what's going on with the camera, why it is good, and then what are some drawbacks with it. Like I said, it's not run cam quality. It's not a CCD camera. It is a CMOS, which does have its drawbacks. They did do an update, and I haven't tested it with the update yet, but I'll just show you the footage. So in this flight, I did it 2 hours earlier than I did my last video. I did that one just as the sun was going down, which is known as the golden hour, I guess. But it was a little dark, and I wanted to get some actually good contrast and see how the camera performed. And coming up, you'll see probably the biggest problem. It doesn't capture it in the recording like it does. So right here, as I'm entering the shadow, it just goes black. I could not see a thing in the goggles. It was quite terrifying. I immediately pulled back, slowed down, and almost regretted buying this camera. And I read some more reviews, and it does have poor light sensitivity. But there was an upgrade for that. So I did the upgrade. I still have yet to test it out. I have been quite busy this week and haven't been able to get out and fly it to see how the upgrade did help. But I've heard good reviews from the upgrade and that it really does help. But looking at this footage, I love the 60 frames per second. I love being able to see how it moves. I honestly feel like my flying is a lot smoother now than I did before with the SQ12. It just looked choppy. I wasn't very proud of my footage just because I didn't feel like I was very smooth. But I think it was more so just the camera itself. Another thing I wanted to mention about this footage, the sound over time came off. It seemed like it was lagging behind and it slowed. And so that's something to note, something to look out for. I was, as I came into a dive, or if I went inverted, I know I cut throttle, but it had me going full throttle. And then as I landed, there was no throttle, and then it later kicked on. And so the sound does lag over time. I don't know if that was just this one instance, if something happened with the recording, actual saving the file. I'm going to keep tampering with that. That's why there's no sound this time as there was last time. But just another thing to look out for. I did want to note in this video, I am flying 2S to give an idea. I mean, this camera is so light, and after removing the stock camera and the stock VTX, it's almost at stock weight. And so on 2S, it flies great. I didn't do too many acrobatics. I just wanted to go out, test the different contrasts, and just kind of fly around. This was a brand new area. I'd never flown here before, and so I was a little hesitant to go through the trees. And it was a campsite. There were campers. There were some people playing this little horseshoe game. And so I just wanted to give them some space. I wasn't trying to show off. I just wanted to fly and test out the camera. But like I said, coming into that shadow spot, it's just black. There's not much there. And so I really have to pull back and just enter it slowly or just for the camera to adjust before I can actually go in and fly. I'm excited to get it out and try the update and see how it goes. But I'm just going to put some music on and let you enjoy just this flight. I know it's not the most amazing flight, but it's cool. And this is all done with the Leader 120 and the Lizard 105S camera and DVR. Enjoy.